I'm Jack Thompson, a talented and dedicated engineer, and I recently went through the most devastating experience of my career. I worked at TechCorp for almost a decade, rising from intern to one of the company's top engineers. My world came crashing down when I was suddenly fired under allegations of misconduct. I was called into the office of Laura, my boss, a woman I respected and admired, but who ended up being the architect of my downfall. "Jack, we need to talk," Laura said, with a serious expression. "We have evidence that you were using company resources for personal projects. This is unacceptable and we will have to fire you immediately." I was shocked. "That's absurd, Laura. I would never do something like that. You know that." She just shook her head. "The evidence is irrefutable. I'm very sorry, but the decision has already been made." I left TechCorp feeling betrayed and humiliated. I was sure the accusations were false and that someone was trying to harm me. I could have been paralyzed by anger and frustration, but instead, something inside me awakened. I decided that I would not let this injustice define my story. If I couldn't work for TechCorp, then I would create something of my own. I told my sister, Lily, everything, who has always been my biggest support. "Lily, I was unfairly fired. I need to do something. I'm going to start my own tech company." She was surprised but immediately supported me. "Jack, I know you're capable of anything. If anyone can do it, it's you. I'm with you every step of the way." With Lily's initial support, I invested all my savings into founding Thompson Innovations. I started working tirelessly, often late into the night, developing ideas and prototypes. I turned the basement of my house into a makeshift laboratory and spent hours on end immersed in codes and circuits. At first, it wasn't easy. There were nights when doubt haunted me. Am I doing the right thing? Will I succeed? I asked myself, as I looked at the piles of notes and unfinished projects. But Lily was always there to encourage me. "Jack, you have a gift. Don't doubt yourself." TechCorp didn't know what they were missing. Every little bit of progress was a victory. I remember the first working prototype I developed. "Lily, come see this." I called my sister excitedly. "It works. It finally works." She smiled and hugged me. "I knew you could do it, Jack. This is just the beginning." Over time, Thompson Innovations began to gain traction. I managed to attract some investors and clients interested in my innovative ideas. I was determined to grow my company and prove to everyone, especially Laura and TechCorp, that I was more than the false accusations they used against me. The journey was just beginning, but each step brought me closer to my goal. I was determined not to let injustice define me. Instead, I would make it the driving force to build something even bigger and better. Thompson Innovations would not just be a technology company, it would be a symbol of resilience and determination. And I was ready to face any obstacle that came my way. When Thompson Innovations started to gain traction in the market, I felt a mixture of pride and apprehension. Each new contract closed and each satisfied customer was a personal victory, but I soon realized that TechCorp wasn't going to simply watch our success without reacting. It was at that moment that my former best friend, Mark, began to show his claws in ways I never would have imagined. It all started with some subtle rumors that began to circulate in the market about the quality of our products. "Did you hear that Thompson Innovations is having production problems?" I heard one customer ask another during an industry event. I knew our production was going well, so where did these rumors come from? One night, while reviewing some reports with Lily, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered, hesitantly. "Jack, we need to talk." "It's about TechCorp," said the voice on the other end. It was Emma, a TechCorp engineer I had previously worked with. She has always been a trustworthy person, but I didn't expect this call. "Emma? What's going on?" I asked, trying to remain calm. "Mark is behind the rumors. He's also planning something bigger, something that could really hurt Thompson Innovations." The revelation came as a shock. Mark and I had been friends since college. How could he be doing this to me? Why would he do that, Emma? I thought our friendship meant something to him. Jack, Tech Corp is desperate. They see you as a real threat, and Mark, he's changed. He's willing to do anything to maintain control. From that moment on, things only got worse. Industrial espionage became a constant. One day, I discovered that our servers had been hacked. Sensitive data was compromised. I gathered my team immediately. We need to beef up our security. Someone is trying to take us down from the inside. I want everyone to be on the lookout for any suspicious activity, I instructed, my voice firm but filled with concern. Lily, ever perceptive, took me aside after the meeting. Jack, you need to be careful. This is turning into a war. I know, Lily. But I can't let Tech Corp destroy us. I worked too hard to get here. The following weeks were a constant battle. I barely slept, worried about the next attack. It was then that Emma came to me again. Jack, they have a spy inside your company. Someone is passing information to Tech Corp. Do you know who it is? I asked, feeling the pressure increase. I'm not sure yet, but I'm looking into it. I need you to trust me. I trust you, Emma. Just be quick, please. The tension reached its peak when one of our most important projects was sabotaged. I was in the office, surveying the damage, when Mark showed up. Jack, I heard about your problems. Do you need help? He said, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mark, you know damn well I don't need your help. In fact, I'm starting to think you're the problem. He laughed, a cold, dismissive sound. You've always been paranoid, Jack. Maybe you should relax a little. Anger bubbled up inside me, but I controlled myself. Mark, if I find out you're behind this, there will be no place in the world you can hide. Good luck with that, he replied, turning on his heel and leaving. That meeting only strengthened my determination. I knew I was in for a tough fight, but I also knew I couldn't give up. With Emma's help and my team's trust, I was ready to take on anything Tech Corp threw our way. Thompson Innovations had to survive, and I would do everything in my power to ensure that. It turned out that my dismissal was part of a larger corruption scheme within Tech Corp, orchestrated by Laura to cover up her own deceptions. The anger and frustration I felt at being wrongfully accused and fired began to make more sense as I put pieces of the puzzle together. I knew I needed to expose the truth, but to do so, I needed concrete evidence. One night, while reviewing old emails and documents saved on my laptop, I found a clue, an exchange of messages between Laura and one of the Tech Corp executives, suggesting financial fraud and report manipulation. This gave me the energy I needed to continue. I decided I couldn't do this alone and needed someone from within the company to help me. Are you crazy, Jack? My sister Lily asked when I shared my plan with her. I know it seems risky, but I can't let this go. Laura can't get away with this situation. She destroyed my career and is hurting many other people too. I need to expose this corruption, I replied, trying to convince her of the importance of what I was doing. So what are you going to do? Break into Tech Corp as a spy, she asked, clearly worried. Not exactly. I need someone inside, someone who can provide me with information and proof. Someone I can trust, I replied thoughtfully. It was then that I remembered Emma, a talented engineer I knew from my time at Tech Corp. She was always ethical and dedicated to her work, and I knew she wouldn't go along with Laura's scams. I decided to contact her. Emma, this is Jack. I know it's been a while since we spoke, but I need your help. It's urgent and it involves Tech Corp. Can we meet? I sent the message, anxiously awaiting the response. To my surprise, she quickly responded, of course, Jack. Can we meet tomorrow night at the cafe near my apartment? The next day I sat in a cozy cafe, waiting for Emma. When she arrived, I could see the concern on her face. Jack, what's going on? Why do you need my help? She asked, sitting across from me. Emma, I discovered that my firing was part of a larger corruption scheme within Tech Corp, orchestrated by Laura. She is manipulating the financial reports and covering up her deceptions. I need to expose this, but I can't do it alone. I need someone from inside to help me get evidence, I explained, watching his reaction. This is serious, Jack. If what you're saying is true, Laura could be putting the company at risk. But how do you expect me to help you? She asked, visibly worried. I know it's risky, but you have access to information that could be crucial. We need emails, documents, anything that proves Laura's illicit activities. I know I'm asking a lot, but can you do it? I asked, hoping she would accept. Emma was silent for a moment, thinking. Finally, she responded, Jack, I've always admired your integrity and your commitment to the truth. If Laura is really doing this, I can't stand by. I'm going to help you. From that moment on, we started working together. Emma began discreetly gathering information, sending me documents and emails that proved Laura's corrupt actions. Every new piece of evidence she obtained strengthened our case. Jack, I found an email that clearly shows the manipulation of financial reports. This could be the proof we need, Emma said during one of our secret meetings. That's great, Emma. With this, we can start putting together our dossier. We need to be careful and ensure that all the evidence is well organized and presented, I replied, feeling a new breath of hope. As we gathered more and more evidence, I knew we were getting closer to the truth. However, I was also aware that TechCorp and Laura would do everything they could to stop us. The battle was just beginning, but with Emma's help, I was more determined than ever to expose corruption and seek justice. When I decided to secretly ally with Emma, I knew I was entering dangerous territory, but the need for justice and exposing corruption at TechCorp was louder. Emma was a talented engineer who, like me, felt betrayed by the company she had once admired. Our first meeting was tense and full of distrust, but their determination to unmask Laura brought us together. Emma, we need to be extremely careful. One slip up and they could find out, I said, my voice thick with seriousness. I know, Jack. I've already thought of several ways to collect information without arousing suspicion. We have to act intelligently, she replied, with the same determination as me. Our meetings were held clandestinely, in places where no one would suspect our alliance. Sometimes we met in busy cafes, other times in quiet parks where we could talk freely without being overheard. I managed to access some of Laura's compromising emails, said Emma in one of these meetings. She opened the laptop and showed me the messages that proved the internal corruption. My heart raced when I saw that tangible evidence. That's great, Emma. But we need more. We need something that connects Laura directly to the illicit acts, I said, trying to control my excitement. From there, Emma and I began to devise a plan to obtain more evidence. She took risks every day within TechCorp, collecting documents, recording conversations, and meticulously cataloging everything. Each piece of information obtained was like a vital piece of the puzzle we were putting together. One particularly tense night, Emma called me. Jack, I've accomplished something big. I found a document that proves Laura diverted company funds to personal accounts. We need to meet now, she said, her voice shaky and urgent. We met in a deserted parking lot. Emma looked exhausted but determined. She handed me a flash drive with the documents. That's all we need. With this evidence, we can expose Laura and bring down the entire corruption scheme, I said, feeling a wave of relief and gratitude. We need to be quick, Jack. They could find out what we're doing at any moment, Emma warned. Over the next few days, we worked tirelessly, compiling all the evidence and preparing a presentation that would destroy TechCorp's facade of integrity. We decided that the best way to expose everything would be at a press conference. However, we knew we were on shaky ground and that any mistake could be disastrous. Emma, are you sure we haven't been discovered? I asked, trying to hide my anxiety. I'm sure, Jack. I was extremely careful. Now's our chance, she replied, trying to reassure me. On the day of the conference, the atmosphere was electric. I could feel the tension in the air as we prepared for the big reveal. However, just as we were about to start, we received an anonymous message alerting us that our plan had been discovered and that Laura was aware of everything. Jack, What are we going to do?" "They know," Emma said, visibly shaken. "We can't give up now. Let's move forward and improvise if necessary." "We have to expose the truth," I said, trying to remain calm. The conference was chaos. Laura and her accomplices tried to interrupt our performance, but the evidence was irrefutable. However, the situation became even more complicated when we realized that there was a Tech Corp informant among us, which put us in an extremely vulnerable position. "Emma, we have to get out of here before it's too late," I said, pulling her out of the commotion. As we fled, we promised each other we wouldn't give up. The fight was far from over, but our determination was unshakable. We knew that, united, we could take down the corrupt Tech Corp empire and finally bring justice. As Jack and Emma advanced their plan to expose corruption at Tech Corp, Thompson Innovations continued to grow rapidly. This growth, however, did not go unnoticed by Tech Corp, which intensified its attacks. I clearly remember a specific day when I received an urgent call from our head of cybersecurity, Alex. "Jack, we have a serious problem," Alex said, his voice thick with concern. "What happened, Alex?" I asked, feeling my heart speed up. "Our systems are under attack. Someone is trying to hack our servers. It appears to be a coordinated and quite sophisticated attempt," he explained. I felt a chill down my spine. I knew Tech Corp wasn't kidding. "Do whatever it takes to protect our data." "I'm going over there right now." I rushed to the server room, where I found Alex and his team working frantically. I felt the tension in the air. They were fighting an invisible enemy, and every second counted. "Are we able to identify the source of the attack?" I asked, trying to understand the gravity of the situation. "We're tracking them, but it looks like they're using multiple proxy servers to mask their location," Alex replied, without taking his eyes off the screens. Meanwhile, Emma sent me an encrypted message. "Jack, I just heard rumors in the office. They are determined to destroy your reputation. Beware of the media." I took a deep breath. Tech Corp was attacking on all fronts. In addition to the cyber attacks, defamatory news began to emerge about me and Thompson Innovations. Unfounded accusations and malicious rumors filled the headlines. "Jack, we need a response strategy," said Lily, my sister, who was also our communications director. "We can't let them destroy our public image." "You're right," I replied, trying to remain calm. "We will call a press conference. We need to be transparent about the attacks and the lies that are being spread. The truth is on our side." The next day, we organized the press conference. I was nervous, but I knew it was necessary. I went up to the stage and faced the journalists. "Good afternoon, everyone," I began. In recent days, Thompson Innovations has been the target of cyber attacks and smear campaigns. We want to make it clear that we are taking all necessary steps to protect our data and our reputation. We will not be intimidated. As I was giving my statement, I noticed Emma in the back of the room, disguised in a hat and sunglasses. She gave me a slight nod of encouragement. Her presence there, even if secret, gave me strength to continue. Furthermore, I continued, "We are investigating the source of these attacks and are confident that the truth will come to light. Thompson Innovations was founded on integrity and innovation, and we will not let anything divert us from that path." After the press conference, I received an anonymous message: "Be careful who you trust. Not everyone is what they seem." I showed the message to Emma when we met secretly that night. "Do you think anyone on our team could be involved?" I asked, worried. "We can't rule out that possibility," Emma replied. "We need to be cautious and watch our step. Tech Corp is willing to do anything to take us down." The days that followed were intense. With each new attack, each new defamation, I felt the weight of responsibility increase. But I also saw the resilience of my team and the unwavering support of Emma and Lily. "Jack, we can't give up now," Lily said one night, when we were exhausted after another day of battle. "We're doing the right thing." "I know, Lily," I replied, feeling a mixture of tiredness and determination. "And we will not give up." We will continue fighting, for ourselves and for everyone who believes in Thompson Innovations. Even though I faced increasing difficulties, it remained clear to me that the fight was worth it. We were challenging a corrupt giant, and although the path was arduous, truth and justice were on our side. And with allies like Emma and Lily, I knew we could win. The pressure began to deeply affect my personal life. My sister Lily, who had always been my biggest supporter, began to feel my absence more and more. The long work hours and constant stress were taking their toll, and I knew I needed to find a balance, but the battle with Tech Corp took up almost all of my time and energy. One night, after another exhausting day at work, I received a text message from Lily. "Can we talk? I miss you." That hit me like a punch in the stomach. I knew I was neglecting the people who mattered most to me, but I didn't know how to get out of this vicious cycle. The next day, I decided to go to her house. When I arrived, Lily was sitting on the porch, with an expression that mixed worry and sadness. I sat down next to him and started talking. "Lily, I know I've been absent and I'm sorry about that. Tech Corp is not making things easy, and I have worked tirelessly to protect Thompson Innovations." She looked me in the eyes, and I could see the pain my absence was causing. "Jack, I understand that you are under a lot of pressure, but you need to remember that you are not alone. I'm here for you, but lately it's been hard to even talk to you. I don't want you to get lost in the middle of this war." Her words hit me hard. She was right. I was so focused on defeating Tech Corp that I was losing sight of what really mattered, my family. "I know, Lily. I will try to improve. I promise I will find a way to balance things." She smiled, a shy smile, but full of hope. "That's all I ask, Jack. Just don't forget that I'm here for you, always." That night, I returned home determined to make changes. I began delegating more responsibilities within Thompson Innovations, trusting my talented team more. I knew I couldn't carry the weight of the world alone, and I needed to trust the people around me. However, the pressure from Tech Corp was not letting up. Attempts to hack our systems and smears in the media continued. I had to constantly be on alert, but now at least I was trying to balance my time better. One night, while reviewing some reports, I received a call from Emma. "Jack, we have a serious problem. I discovered that Tech Corp is planning something big against us. I need you to come to the office immediately." I sighed, feeling the weight of responsibility. But before I left, I texted Lily, "I'm trying, I promise. Just another rough night. I love you." When I arrived at the office, Emma was waiting for me with a serious expression. "What did you discover?" I asked. "They are planning a large-scale cyber attack. If they succeed, they could destroy all our data and ruin our reputation." My mind started racing, thinking about how we could defend ourselves. But one thing was clear, I couldn't do this alone. We need the entire IT team here now. We will work all night if necessary, but we cannot let them destroy us. As we worked together, I felt a new determination. I knew I was on the right path, but I also knew I needed to balance it with my personal life. When morning came and we finally managed to avoid the attack, I felt enormous relief. Back at my apartment, exhausted but hopeful, I texted Lily, "We did it. I'm going to take the day to rest and spend time with you. Thank you for everything. I love you." The battle against Tech Corp was still far from over, but at that moment, I knew I had the support of the people who mattered. And that, more than anything else, gave me the strength to keep fighting. With Emma's help, Jack finally gathers enough evidence to expose Laura's corruption. It was an incredibly exhausting journey full of obstacles, but every second was worth it when we realized the amount of evidence we had in our hands. We knew we needed to act quickly and decisively, so we planned a press conference where everything would be revealed. "Jack, we have to be precise. We can't get any details wrong," Emma told me, as we reviewed the documents for the millionth time. "I know, Emma. The pressure is enormous, but we're so close. We can't waver now," I replied, feeling the weight of responsibility in every word. Everything was ready for the big day. We rented a small conference space in a reputable hotel, put together a cohesive presentation, and invited journalists from a variety of media outlets. It was our chance to shed light on TechCorp's darkness and, especially, on Laura's villainies. Hours before the conference, Emma and I were in the office, ironing out the last details. "Do you think they suspect something?" I asked, worried. "I'm not sure, but we're being extremely careful." "I think we have a good chance," Emma said, trying to reassure me. Later, as we were getting ready to leave, my cell phone rang. It was an anonymous text message. "You guys have no idea what you're getting into. Stop now or you'll regret it." Ice ran down my spine, but I tried not to let Emma see my apprehension. "Jack, is everything okay?" she asked, noticing my expression. "Yeah, just a little nervous, nothing major," I lied, trying to sound convincing. We arrived at the conference venue and, to our surprise, everything seemed to be going well. The journalists were in position, the cameras were adjusted, and the atmosphere was tense but controlled. Emma and I looked at each other. We knew it was the decisive moment. However, as soon as I started talking, things started to fall apart. An unknown man entered the room and approached the stage. He handed something to one of the journalists, who immediately raised his hand to speak. "Mr. Thompson, we have just received information that TechCorp has already spoken out and denied all of your allegations, claiming that you are just trying to defame them out of personal revenge. What do you have to say about that?" asked the journalist, with an inquisitive look. I looked at Emma, who was just as perplexed as I was. "That's impossible. There's no way they could know about this so quickly," I whispered to her. "Someone must have betrayed us, Jack," she replied, her voice shaking with frustration. As we tried to understand what was going on, more journalists started asking questions, turning the conference into chaos. Laura, with her innate ability to manipulate, managed to turn the game in her favor. The revelation was interrupted, and our credibility was at risk. This can't be happening, I thought, feeling hopelessness set in. As we left the place, Emma held my arm. "Jack, we can't give up now. We have to find out who betrayed us and find a new plan. We won't let all of this be in vain." I took a deep breath, trying to suppress my frustration. "You're right, Emma. Let's keep going. Let's not let Laura get away with this so easily." The walk back to the office was silent, but our thoughts were racing a mile a minute. We needed a new plan, and fast. Thompson Innovations' reputation was at stake, and I couldn't allow all of my and Emma's efforts to go down the drain. "Let's spend the night here, going through everything we have," I suggested, as we entered the office. Emma nodded. "We need to find whoever betrayed us and make sure it doesn't happen again." The fight was far from over, but one thing was certain: we weren't going to give up. We were more determined than ever to expose the truth and ensure that justice prevailed, no matter how difficult the path. Determined not to give up, Emma and I redoubled our efforts to gather new evidence and find a way around Laura's measures. Every day felt like a battle, but giving up was not an option. We spent hours locked in my office, analyzing documents and strategizing, while the shadow of TechCorp loomed over us. "We need something more concrete, Jack," Emma said one night, rubbing her tired eyes. "Laura is smart. If we're not careful, she'll take us down before we even have a chance." "I know," I replied, feeling the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. "But we have to keep going. We are already very close." Among the files that Emma managed to recover, we found clues that led us to a hidden server within TechCorp, where Laura had compromising information. We decided our best chance was to hack this server and get the evidence once and for all. As we worked on this plan, the tension between Mark and I only increased. He was my former best friend, and seeing what he had become ate me up inside. I decided it was time to confront him. "Mark, we need to talk," I said when meeting him at a cafe near TechCorp headquarters. He looked at me with disdain, but agreed to sit with me. "What do you want, Jack?" "I know you're in on this," I began, trying to control my emotions. "You're helping Laura destroy my company and my life." "Why? What happened to the friend I knew?" Mark laughed, a cold, humorless sound. "The friend you knew is dead, Jack. I did what I needed to survive and thrive. Tech Corp gave me everything, and I won't let you take that away. But at what cost, Mark? Do you really think this is worth destroying people's lives for? He looked at me, his eyes filled with a bitterness I didn't recognize. You'll never understand, Jack. You've always been the sweetheart, the talented one. I've had to fight for every bit of what I have. And if that means ending you, so be it. I left that conversation feeling even more determined. Mark was lost, but I still had a chance to save my company and expose the truth. Emma and I spent sleepless nights planning and refining our hack into the Tech Corp server. Finally, the day arrived. We were able to access the server and download the incriminating data. It was a victory, but we knew we couldn't relax. We have to act quickly, Emma said, reviewing the files. If Laura finds out about this, we'll be in danger. Let's do it right this time, I replied. We will ensure there are no more failures. We decided to take the evidence directly to a trusted investigative journalist, someone who could disclose the truth without fear of reprisal. As we waited for the story to be published, the tension was palpable. I felt like I was holding a time bomb ready to explode. At that time, my relationship with my sister Lily was also in shambles. She called me frequently, concerned about my well-being. Jack, you're destroying yourself over this. I don't want to lose you, she said, her voice full of concern. Lily, I know it's hard, but I'm doing this for the greater good. I promise that when it's all over, I'll make up for lost time, I tried to assure her, even though I wasn't sure if I could keep that promise. Finally, the article was published, exposing all of Laura's corruption and the network of deceit within Tech Corp. It was a devastating blow for them, but we knew the battle was not yet completely won. Laura tried desperately to defend herself, but the evidence was irrefutable. She was forced to resign, and Tech Corp's reputation suffered a near-mortal blow. However, the real revelation was yet to come, and I felt like the biggest challenge was ahead of me. Emma and I knew we needed to be prepared for anything, and Mark's betrayal still haunted me. I was determined to reconnect with him, but I also knew that his loyalty to Tech Corp was deeply rooted. The road to redemption and justice was still long, but I was ready to face it, no matter the cost. I decided it was time for a last-ditch effort to expose the truth about the corruption within Tech Corp. Tension was in the air, and I knew I needed to act quickly. I convinced Emma to help me organize a shocking presentation for Tech Corp's next shareholder meeting. Jack, are you sure this will work? Emma asked, a worried expression on her face. We have no other choice, Emma. We need to expose the truth once and for all. It's now or never, I replied, trying to convey a confidence that I myself wasn't sure I felt. For days, we worked tirelessly to gather all the evidence we had collected up to that point. Documents, emails, recordings, everything needed to be perfectly organized so that there would be no doubt about the corruption of Laura and her accomplices. The plan was risky, but the adrenaline and sense of justice kept us focused. The day of the shareholder meeting has finally arrived. I was nervous but determined. Emma and I infiltrated the Tech Corp building using fake identities. We got through security with surprising ease, which only increased my anxiety. We arrived at the conference room, where the shareholders were already gathered, and I waited for the right moment to act. While Laura was doing her usual presentation, I stood up and interrupted her. I'm sorry, but I have something very important to say, I stated firmly, feeling all eyes turn to me. Laura was visibly angry. What do you think you're doing here, Jack? You have no right to be in this meeting. Actually, I do. And what I have to say will change everything, I replied, walking up to the stage. I turned on the projector and began to display the evidence that Emma and I had gathered. Compromising documents appeared on the screen, followed by recordings of incriminating conversations. The murmurs in the room increased, and the shareholders began to whisper among themselves. Laura tried to interrupt several times, but I was relentless, continuing with the presentation. This is a hoax. You have no way of proving any of this. Laura screamed, desperately trying to control the situation. Yes, I do. And this evidence speaks for itself, I replied, pointing to the screen. Laura not only conspired to get me fired, but she is also involved in a corruption scheme that harms Tech Corp and its shareholders. The turmoil increased, and shareholders began to demand explanations. Laura was cornered. She tried to defend herself, but the evidence was irrefutable. Finally, one of the major shareholders stood up and said, "Laura, the evidence is clear. You are fired. We cannot allow this to continue." The room erupted in murmurs of approval. Laura, defeated, left the room with her face contorted with anger. I felt a wave of relief and satisfaction. Revenge was within my reach. After the meeting, Emma and I left the Tech Corp building, feeling a mix of exhaustion and triumph. "We did it, Jack." "We finally did it," Emma said, hugging me. "Yes, we did it. But there is still a lot to do. We need to ensure that Tech Corp undergoes true reform and that these corrupt practices never happen again," I replied, determined. At that moment, I realized that my fight was not just for revenge, but for justice and the integrity of the technology industry. The victory against Laura was just the beginning. Together, Emma and I would continue to work to ensure a better future for everyone. "Come on, Emma. We have a future to build," he said, looking ahead with renewed optimism. "I'm with you, Jack." "Until the end," she replied with a confident smile. And so, with the truth finally exposed, I felt I was on the right path to building a genuine and lasting legacy. When I finally managed to unmask Laura and expose the corruption at Tech Corp, I felt like I had reached the pinnacle of my struggle. The public revelation at the shareholder meeting was a moment of triumph, but little did I know that the real villain was still in the shadows, awaiting his chance to strike. Mark, my former best friend, was always someone I trusted blindly. However, he was orchestrating a series of dirty maneuvers right under my nose. One night, as Emma and I were reviewing the latest evidence collected, she looked at me with a serious expression. "Jack, I think we're missing something. There's something that doesn't add up. The way Laura was caught so easily, it feels like she was set up." I sighed, exhausted. "What do you mean, Emma?" "Laura was clearly involved in corruption. We have proof of that." "Yes, but what if she was being manipulated by someone greater? Someone who would benefit even more from her fall?" It was then that I started connecting the dots. Mark was always one step ahead, his actions always seemed calculated. Distrust began to grow, and I knew I needed more answers. The next morning, I invited Mark for coffee, wanting to probe his intentions. "Mark, we need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He looked at me with a mixed expression of curiosity and disdain. "Of course, Jack. What do you have in mind?" "I've been feeling like there's something wrong. Laura went down so easily, but it seems like there was a bigger game afoot. Do you know anything about this?" Mark laughed, but there was something sinister in his laughter. "You were always the naive one, Jack. Always believing the best in people." My heart started to beat faster. "What do you mean by that, Mark?" "Laura was just a piece on the board. I was in control the whole time. Everything you went through, every hardship, was orchestrated by me." I was speechless. The shock and betrayal hit me like a punch in the gut. "Why, Mark? Why do this to me? We were friends." "Friends?" He laughed again. "You were always an obstacle, Jack. Your talent, your ethics, all of it threatened my position. I needed to get rid of you and make sure you never came back." Wasting no time, I went straight to Emma with this new revelation. "Emma, Mark is the real culprit. He manipulated Laura and all of us. We need to expose him." She nodded, determined. "Let's do this. We need hard evidence." We worked tirelessly, and Emma managed to hack some of Mark's old emails, revealing illicit financial transactions and communications that clearly showed his involvement. Finally, we had what we needed. We decided to act quickly. We took the evidence to the authorities and, in a coordinated operation, Mark was arrested in his office, caught red-handed. The news spread quickly, causing an even bigger uproar than Laura's fall. With Mark out of the way, Tech Corp underwent a complete restructuring under new leadership committed to cleansing the company of corruption. I received public recognition for my courage and integrity, and it brought a sense of justice that I had never experienced before. Thompson Innovations has not only prospered, but has also become a symbol of ethical innovation and integrity in the technology market. And finally, I managed to find a balance between my professional and personal life. I reconnected with my sister Lily, who was always by my side, and together we began to build a promising future. One quiet afternoon, as we were drinking coffee, Lily looked at me with a smile. "I'm so proud of you, Jack. You faced everything and came out victorious." I smiled back, feeling an inner peace. "I couldn't have done this without you, Lily. Thank you for always believing in me. This journey has taught me a lot about resilience, confidence, and the true meaning of justice. And, above all, it showed me that, despite challenges and betrayals, there is always a chance to start over and build something even better."